How to make forgiveness your superpower now and forever, starting today. This will be hands down one of the most important episodes I'll ever record. Let me share with you the three principles of forgiveness that you can start applying today and the science behind forgiveness. And we'll discuss the principles in further depth. But I guarantee by the end of this episode, you'll have the tools to make forgiveness your superpower today. And it'll be one of the best decisions you can ever make in your life to do so. So here's our three principles of forgiveness. Principle number one, be kind, for everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Principle number two, everyone is doing the best they can with the knowledge and abilities they have. And principle number three, how am I that? So let's briefly talk about the science of forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't just a moral idea. It's a scientifically proven superpower for your mental health and success. First, a landmark study in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine found that people who completed a forgiveness program experienced a 70% drop in depression and anxiety symptoms. The researchers wrote, when people let go of resentment, their mental health improves as powerfully as if they were given medicine. Second, a survey of more than 1,500 adults published in the Journal of Health Psychology, those higher in forgiveness had 23% lower cortisol, the body's main stress hormone, and were 20% less likely to report major depression. The authors put it simply, forgiveness functions like a stress relief for the soul and body. And third, a longitudinal study in Psychology and Health revealed that people who practiced forgiveness had lower blood pressure, steadier heart rates, and a 15 to 20% higher life satisfaction score. The researchers concluded forgiveness is strongly linked not just to health, but to thriving. So here's the truth. Forgiveness isn't weakness. Forgiveness is fuel for resilience, health, and for real success. Let me give you two analogies on forgiveness that I've learned over the years. Number one, holding on to anger is like taking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. I want you to think about that. And then number two, holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot coal and expecting the other person to get burned. It all starts, I believe, with radical self-forgiveness, a concept I learned from a friend and mentor named Steve Hardison, who's known as the ultimate coach. Radical self-forgiveness means you have to get really good at forgiving yourself first. When you make a mistake, when you failed at something, when you weren't perfect, you've got to really start to practice radical self-forgiveness. Means you got to forgive yourself every day, every hour. A mistake you made wasn't your best performance, something you could have did better at. You've got to forgive yourself first. You got to recognize, as another friend and mentor, Dr. Jason Selk, has taught me, you've got to recognize your done wells, what you did right, and you got to forgive yourself for the things you could have done better and just make it a goal to do it better next time. But forgiveness starts with, I believe, radical self-forgiveness. That's where it starts. Now, step two in forgiveness, great philosophy by Dr. Stephen R. Covey. This is one of his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If I were to summarize in one sentence the single most important principle I have learned in the field of interpersonal relations, it would be this. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So, in order to have better relationships with everyone around you, you've got to seek first to understand, then be understood. Seek first to understand why they did what they did, why they feel the way they feel. Be an expert listener and realize that everyone's fighting a battle we know nothing about. So this quote is attributed to Wendy Mass. Be kind, for everyone is fighting a battle I know nothing about. And Stephen Covey tells this great story in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People about a father who has some unruly kids with him on a subway ride. And The kids are misbehaving, they're loud, they're running around, and the other passengers are getting upset with the father. Why don't you do something about this? Make them behave. And so someone approaches him and asks him about this, and he said, I just left the hospital. Their mother just passed away, and I don't know what to do with the kids. That's an instant paradigm shift. That's an instant forgiveness. That's that is the that is the antithesis or the paramount the most that's the most important way you could think about be kind for everyone is fighting a battle I know nothing about. That man on the train was fighting a battle we know nothing about. Now realize that everyone you meet is fighting some battle you know nothing about, whether it's work related, their own personal health related, a health of a loved one, a relationship struggle. Everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about. So be kind. Okay. Now we talked about uh, everyone is doing the best they can with the knowledge and abilities they have. Here's a quote from Jack Canfield, one of my favorite authors, author of The Success Principles, one of my favorite experts on success. Jack Canfield tells us, you never want to beat yourself up about the past. I always tell people you did the best you could with the awareness, skills, knowledge, and tools that you had at the time. Everybody does. It's also all the people that upset you. They are doing the best they can with the awareness, skills, knowledge, and tools they have. So we need to have compassion for them and ourselves. Jack put that perfectly. That's radical self forgiveness, and that's also forgiving others and knowing that they're doing the best they can. Now, lastly, here's a quote from Dr. James Lohr, world class expert on success and happiness, wrote a book called The Power of Full Engagement. And Dr. Lohr tells us, we're asked the question, how am I that? Only that which we cannot accept within ourselves do we find impossible to live with others. Think for a moment of someone you actively dislike. What quality in that person do you find most objectionable? Now ask yourself, how am I that? And that's our principle number 3. How am I that? Look around when someone upsets you, something you don't like, and ask yourself, how am I that? How am I that now? Or how have I been that in the past? That you'll instantly forgive that person. Okay, I've been that way myself before. I understand. So I forgive them. And or I am that way now so I can learn from that other person. Instead of being mad at that person just taught me something about myself. I need to be better at that quality that I dislike. Now, lastly, I'll leave you with this question from Paul Chek, world-class wellness expert, health and wellness expert. He asked a question, and you can ask yourself when you need to forgive someone, what would love do? That's how we put it in a bumper sticker. We sum up forgiveness. What would love do? So, in summary, our 3 principles of forgiveness that you can use to make forgiveness your superpower today. Be kind, for everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Principle 2, everyone is doing the best they can with the knowledge and abilities they have. And number 3, ask yourself, how am I that? So my challenge to you is I want you to think about someone that you need to forgive today. Could be a coworker, could be your boss, a family member, a friend, someone from your past. And my challenge to you is to focus on those 3 principles we discussed and forgive that person today. And just imagine how it makes you feel, right? Just think about how it'll make you feel when you forgive that person. You're no longer carrying the weight of the anger. I wish you an elevated life of success, happiness, forgiveness, and positive impact.